Hey folks, good morning. James Azar here with the CyberHub podcast. I hope you had a great, wonderful, amazing, beautifully magnificent weekend. If you're noticing a change, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you can subscribe. Number two, yes, I've changed up my studio a little bit, make it a little bit more comfortable, kind of dividing my workspace from my recording space. I've also added a little bit more artwork on the back. I'll be adding a lot more. I've got some great stuff coming our way here as well. So make sure if you're not watching us on YouTube, you go and subscribe on YouTube. We're very close to monetizing the channel, which would be amazing because I'm a one-man show. And anytime I can monetize my channel would allow me to get you better, faster, and more accurate content all the time. So make sure you subscribe. You can also go to our website, cyberhubpodcast.com. You can get our entire practitioner brief there with all the links, all the stories, everything you want. And without further ado, let's get right into today, Monday, October 19th, 2020. And we've got a lot to cover today. So here we go. Juniper Network patches tens of vulnerabilities. Over the weekend on Friday, Juniper Networks had published 40 security advisories describing vulnerabilities in its Juniper OS operating system, which powers the company's firewall and various third-party components. Several vulnerabilities that have collectively been assigned a critical severity rating have been found in the Juniper Network Mist Cloud UI. The bugs related to security assertion, markup language, SAML authentication allow a remote attacker to bypass the authentication itself. Juniper has informed customers of a critical remote code execution vulnerability affecting the telnet server used by Jonas OS. The other flaws rated critical affect third-party components, including the SQLite and the PyYML parser. The company has released over a dozen advisories. All are ready to patch. Also, CISA has advised organizations to review Juniper's advisories and apply updates. I don't know how many of you guys use Discord or your DevOps teams are on Discord and you have a ton of business chat done on Discord. Discord, a competitor to Slack and Teams and others. Well, the Discord desktop app vulnerability chain triggered, a remote code execution attack. Discord has patched a critical issue in the desktop version of the messaging app, which left users vulnerable to remote code execution attacks. This, according to bug bounty hunter Masato Kinugawa, developed an exploit chain leading to an RCE several months ago, published a blog post about it over the weekend, including the technical details of the message, which combined multiple bugs. The first security issues was found in Electron, the software framework used by the Discord desktop app. While the desktop app is not an open source, the JavaScript code utilization by Electron, an open source project for creating cross-platform apps, was able to harness JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, was saved locally and could be extracted and examined. Again, some of the challenges here are insane within the development of a third party to a third party to a third party supply chain. I'll get right to that in just a moment. Bruce Shaner from Harvard was just talking about that as I was listening to the Tel Aviv University day one of Cyberweek. We'll get right to that in just a moment. And another story from our friends over at Dark Reading. A massive new phishing campaign is targeting Microsoft and Google Cloud users. Researchers are warning of a series of massive phishing campaigns underway that are taking special aim at public cloud users. The campaigns are targeting accounts on Microsoft's Office 365 and Google's Gmails with tactics designed to provide a false sense of security or prey on curiosity about current events. We obviously have a ton of current events going on right now, folks. We're a few weeks away from the presidential election in the U.S. COVID, second or third wave of COVID in some places is really on the uptick. People are curious, people are nervous, people are falling into this clickbait stuff. And so it's critical, especially with work from home, that we talk to our teams, that we educate them, that they understand that the company or any email alerts or anything like that should be carefully monitored right now. You can get the entire story there. Now let's talk a little bit about Tel Aviv University Cyberweek. So I've been awake since about 7 o'clock this morning. It's now 10 o'clock Eastern, about 3 hours. I've got to watch about 2 hours of content I had to record right now and get this out to you folks. So I'll have more on the first day tomorrow and a little bit about the second day. And then I think on Thursday, I'll do kind of like a 3-day summary for everyone as well. So a few things. Jaya Balu, who's the CISO over at Avast, brought up something very interesting today. She said that in London, Metro Police took down 500 fake PPE websites in the first few months of COVID-19. That's insane. That's crazy, that number. And one of the things she also mentioned that they saw at Avast and within their 400 and some odd million users were a lot of people who were road warriors before COVID, the people who spent 5 days a week traveling, going from city to city, state to state, country to country. When COVID hit and they went home, they lost a lot of their cyber hygiene, which was very interesting. So while they were on the road, they would get to a hotel and want to open up their email, they'd launch VPN, but once they were grounded at home, they never thought to launch their VPN. And it was a very interesting kind of statement over the idea of humans really kind of picking up cyber hygiene, which we take for granted as practitioners, and then apply it into their daily lives. Very, very interesting. Chris Roberts, if you folks missed the podcast on Friday, we did a LinkedIn Live with Chris Roberts, the hacker, the researcher, the geek, the awesome human being, one of the great voices of our industry. I just heard his talk as well, Analog Humans in the Digital World. He promoted it on our podcast. The talk did not disappoint. You can go right now to Tel Aviv University Cyberweek. Just Google Tel Aviv University Cyberweek online. CyberHub free, all lowercase. Get your free pass. Register now. That saves you 100 shekels, which is around like $30, folks. So that's 3 Chipotle orders. So go in, check that out. A great talk by Chris Roberts there. I was now listening to Bruce Schneier, from Harvard, talk a little bit about the supply chain and the challenges of the supply chain. And the case right here with Discord, that's a supply chain within a supply chain, which lends all conversation to how do we secure the supply chain. And the question of that, folks, is definitely something we're going to be discussing on our CISO Talk podcast. I have a very cool CISO Talk podcast this week with Patrick Gall, the director of the NTSC National Technology Security Coalition, a group I served on the board and had the pleasure of being a part of for several years. We're going to be talking about policy ahead of the election, cyber policy, data privacy, data breach notification. So if you haven't signed up for our CISO Talk podcast, do so now. That's it for our practitioner brief today. Don't forget to subscribe now on your favorite podcast listening platform, or follow us on YouTube when you get a chance. I'll be back with so much more tomorrow. Until then, folks, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for tuning in. Most importantly, stay healthy and stay cyber safe.